Okay, perfect. Well, I think we're ready to get started. Randy and Kent, can you hear us? Not sure.
Randy and Ken are together.
Can you all hear us?
Who's you all?
Okay, Randy and Kent.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome, everyone. We're going to start with our special programming. So tonight we have Randy and Kent, who are both members of the Tippecanoe County Election Board. And so I'll let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they do. And then I know they want to save a lot of time for Q&A from you all. So I'll turn it over to you.
And thank you, Hannah. This is Randy Vonderheide. I'm a member of the Tippecanoe County Board of Elections and Registration. I've been a member in excess of 20 years is my guess. And I've been, I'll call it a deputy. And for the last couple years, I've been the voting Republican on the board. I maintain a private law practice in Lafayette, practiced now for right at 40 years. And in theory and relevant to our discussion tonight, I am a registered Republican.
I'm Kent Moore. I'm the Democrat appointee to the election boards. Been on the board since 1992. Historically, before Randy and I got on, but we continue it. The one thing that we do here in Tippecanoe County is we cooperate, we're collegial. We really try to make it as easy as possible for everybody to vote. And unfortunately, Purdue students, we have to work through a problem with the fact that their IDs don't have an expiration date, but that's being taken care of on an annual basis with every class. But basically in Tippecanoe County, which now I think we're the exception rather than the rule, both the R's and D's work together to facilitate voting.
Gosh, Kent, why did you have to remind them that we would let them vote with those old Purdue IU? But all right. Now, many of you may not know, we do not hold an elected position. We are nominated by the party chairs, the Republican or Democrat party chair for Tippecanoe County. So in theory, we serve at, and actually we do serve at their privilege and convenience, because they can fire us. And so we're not subject to recall. Having said that, I might state that one of the primary things that our election board does that I think distinguishes it from many in the state of Indiana, we certainly do not consider ourselves party animals in the sense of what we do for the voters in this county. As we say, we're more concerned about the process than the politics. And we live that, and certainly have done that for at least the 20 years that I know of and can speak for the election board.
Another comment I will make is when we can start voting as of October 6th of this year, we have these voting centers. And fortunately, we have now been able to work out with Purdue with the virus and everything going on, that Mackey Arena will serve as a voting center at least one day before the November 3rd election, and then on the November 3rd election. One requirement of voting centers is they have to be available to everyone throughout the county. So I know Purdue is fighting to keep open, and it looks like so far rather successfully. But at least at Mackey Arena, if people are going to come in to use the voting centers, they have that big parking lot there and things like that where they won't have to go on to campus. So hopefully with the voting centers and access to Purdue students, we can get a large turnout for all of the students who want to cast their votes here in Tippecanoe County.
And before I go into all the early voting hours that are available, I mean, most people think of election day voting, but it's been a big thing this year, absentee ballots. There were no excuse absentees earlier this year. Most of you probably are familiar with that. that doesn't hold true for the general election this fall. And so there has to be generally, I'll call it a reason if you want to vote absentee. I don't expect that to change. We've recently received some information suggesting that is beyond debate at this point in time, but we still expected a huge number of absentees. In a normal year, if I remember, we would wind up with about 500 absentee ballots.
Yeah, that's right. The best example is comparing with 2016 in the primary. That year in the primary, we had 500 absentee ballots, which we have to count by hand. This year in the primary, which was moderate to low turnout, we had 10,000 absentee ballots. We have a projection now that the local staff has put together, and we could well have 34,000 absentee ballots this year. But we, at this point, feel that we're ready to handle what's ever going to come in that way.
Tell you what, there's a lot of things that we could talk about concerning elections, but I think we're both more interested in what questions that people participating in the meeting would have. So let's open that up and ask questions, whatever is on your mind regarding voting in Tippecanoe County or maybe even elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll open it up to the floor and also to the chat for those joining us virtually. So does anyone have any questions?
If they don't have questions, we're going to keep talking. And so
yeah, Senator Didona.
So you talked about increased projection in terms of absentee voting, and I was hoping you could sort of talk about the steps you guys are taking to address this huge increase in absentee voting.
Well, the one thing, Tippecanoe County has voting centers. We were the first county in the state to do that. I think it was about 15, 16 years ago. So we will start approximately 2 weeks before the election this year, the virus and things like that. But we will have county-wide voting where people, as we pointed out just a moment, in the end in time, it was no excuse absentee voting, which we don't have so much this time. We can't do that. But one thing we are going to set up the week before the election, we're going to have what I'm going to call 2 days of drive-by, where people who want to vote absentee but are worried about voting by mail because of what's been going on with the post office and worried about their vote coming in on time, because we have an absolute deadline on Election Day, November 3rd. We can count any absentee vote that we get delivered to us by noon on Election Day. But if the post office brings them in the next day, even if they're postmarked on November 3rd, if they're not delivered to us by noon on that day, we can't count them. So the option here will be, and this is particularly probably for my demographic, if you're voting by absentee, you'll have an opportunity not to just mail it in, but to drive it through these drive-by centers and drop it off.
I do want to make sure that we are responsive to that question. A lot of people, the generic category of early voting has traditionally been referred to as absentee, but with vote centers, that no longer applies. And feel free to follow up on question if we didn't respond to that, because we have a lot of early voting that is not absentee paper ballots. I believe we're going to have approximately 440 hours of early voting this year. So you can show up in what I'll call the polls and cast a ballot that is not an absentee ballot.
Any other questions? Yeah, President Gilmore.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I had a question. Recently learned about the process of becoming a poll worker is different depending upon the state. And so when I was in high school in Chicago, it was pretty easy to sign up. Could you talk a little bit more about that process and then just confirm that you are not in need of any more poll workers for this season?
I don't think I'd be that brave to say we're not in need of any more poll workers. I know we maintain a significant list. And so what you do is call the Board of Elections registration. I had their number written down, but I don't have it here in front of me. Maybe we can provide that at the end of the meeting. But you would call them and ask to be added to the list. We certainly welcome people, and particularly people that have worked the polls before. However, having said that, it seems like based upon this spring, I had some belief that a lot of people would decline to work the polls. We didn't find that at all. Our old hands that have been with us for a long time were satisfied that they would be safe, and they decided to work. So, but don't let that slow you down. Feel free to call the office, indicate that you're wanting to work as a poll worker. You'll be on the list. Hopefully that list is so large there are some people we don't call.
We have historically gone to the local high schools and the government teachers, and we encourage high school students to register to vote. If they're 18 by November 3rd, they can actually vote in the primary earlier that year. And we get some students then who get interested in the process and then become our poll workers. One thing, we had over 100 precincts here, and you need 7 people to run a precinct. That's one of the reasons we went to voting centers years ago. We're now down to about 15 voting centers. But there are people here, and particularly the precincts in the neighborhood, they R's and D's on both. They would work together, they would cooperate together, and they're people that have a vested interest just because they have been involved in the election for years. And these people that they have, they're sort of our fail-safe. They have a sense of what's going on. When you had the precincts, you would know where the Democratic precincts were, where the Republican, where they're more mixed. But the people that are working there will tell you if they feel something is out of whack. And plus, they have a vested interest. Many of the poll workers, they've done it for generations or for years. They don't do it for the money, but they are there, and they're one of the guarantees that we really don't have fraud in the elections around here.
Other questions or concerns? And by the way, I lost my audio on my phone. I can see audio on Kent's phone, so I'm good, or a video, so I'm good to go. I think I am.
Yep, we can still hear you. Any other questions? Senator Griffin Little.
Hi, thank you again for joining us. I had a more, general Indiana voting question, and I know that Indiana is one of the few states that does not allow for a no excuse sort of absentee ballot. So I was wondering if you could talk a bit about why Indiana has chosen to partake in that decision making with the no excuse absentee ballots.
Well, you'll get a difference of opinion here, but I'll start out with it. We did the no excuse absentee ballot back for the primary because of the virus. That was done because the state election board, which is an R&D up there, they said we could do it. They have been asked to extend that to this time, and I think it falls to the R's. They were not willing to do it, and so unless both parties agree, it can't be done. But I'm willing here to point a finger at the other side.
And I have a same finger. I look at it from a different perspective. For years and years and years, we've done it a certain way. The statutes that have been written by our legislature, which developed over a number of years, require, in essence, traditional voting, which is in person. And so keep in mind the primary election is a little different animal. That election belongs to the parties, if you will. The fall general election belongs to the people. And that's a distinction that I've drawn for some years, because the parties can say how they want to run the election in the spring and the primary, if you will. But when it comes to that fall election, I'm inclined to stay pretty close as I can to what the statutes indicate. And so, it is expected that it'll come up in the legislature next year. I mean, with COVID, who knows what people are going to start suggesting needs to be done. We've learned a lot. We learned a lot this spring running as many absentees as we did. But the real challenge is it's a process issue for me. We're just not set up to handle no excuse absentees. We did a good job. But still, there are a lot of voters whose votes didn't get cast for some reason, and I believe the blame doesn't rest with the local election board. I'm not going to blame the post office. Could be a combination of post office voters, who knows? But some people's votes didn't get cast. I can assure you that if you show up in a polling location, your vote will be counted.
Any other questions?
Well, I don't see anybody holding their hand up. Let's talk about those Russians. I mean, and maybe people understand that the Russians didn't hack the election in Tippecanoe County and can't possibly.
I was wondering if you two could talk a little bit about why you chose to get involved in the board. I know that both of you have been on it for many, many years.
I chose to get involved because my family, who are are primarily all Democrats, going back generations. My great grandfather helped write 51 Indiana Constitution, and so it was when I was growing up. Told it was important to vote. I remember my first election, which was up in Brookston, just a few miles north in here. Literally, the polling booth pulled back a feed sack to go in and vote. Back when I was in law school in the mid '60s, was working as part of the anti-war. And we had the election back then. Gene McCarthy and the precinct down in Bloomington that I worked the first time I worked a precinct, Gene McCarthy won that precinct by 3,000 votes. He didn't get 3,000 votes in the rest of the state of Indiana. But I got involved in it when I was a kid. And one of the neat things that happened here a couple of years ago, I had a granddaughter that was part of a government class and came and registered to vote. And when she cast her first vote, we'd set up a voting center at Jefferson High School. And so I got to watch her vote. So for me, it's a family tradition.
Not necessarily a family tradition for me. Most of my family, particularly my ancestors and most of my siblings, I come from a large family, they vote for D's. And I always suggested that, knowing them as I did, that they were voting for the wrong party, but they so far are still D's. I got involved, when I was 17 and 2/3 years old, when I cast my first vote. I was the first group of individuals that could vote in a primary when they weren't 18. That was a constitutional amendment. I think it was the 21st, but don't hold me to that. So I have been interested. I worked elections in a limited way when I was at Ball State in undergraduate. In law school, certainly I voted, but I didn't work any elections. Didn't feel like I had time. I had a few other jobs. But when I came to town, I met several people that immediately, and I'm not from this area, but when I came to town, I met several people, both R's and D's, that were obviously respected in the community. They were involved in elections. And so I was invited to actually cook at a Republican function by a person, a World War II veteran, D-Day veteran, and that I respected a lot. And he asked me to help cook one night. And after that, I've associated quite a bit with the R party, although I do have people that I count on as friends in the D party. So it was just a matter of loyalty and who you know and who you respect and getting involved in the process. And I will say something about the process. It's made it a lot easier to work here in Tippecanoe County for the voters because, again, we look at the process and not really the politics. We don't get squeezed by our county chairman, and I truly appreciate that.
Okay, I'll open it back up to the floor. Is there any other questions before we go?
What do you mean before we go? I thought we would go to the wee hours of the morning on this, but maybe not, maybe not. I do want to say something. There's so many people that worry about hacking, and I intended to raise that issue. A lot of people do not know that their vote cannot be hacked. Technically, I think the term is air gap. The ballot cards that are used are never on the internet. And so, there's it's a misnomer to believe that your vote can be hacked, at least in this county. And I want people to be assured that when they cast a vote, particularly if they vote in person, it will be counted. Believing they are a registered voter. I won't even go into that process. We have people occasionally vote that aren't registered. That causes some problems.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for your time. I know this has been very informative to learn a little bit about how the local election process works. I don't know if you can hear us, but we'll give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was quite generous. We appreciate the work you do over there. Take care. Be safe.
Thank you.
We're going to sign. All right. Bye now.
Yep, go ahead and sign off.
Believe our mics are dead, okay? Okay. I think I am. That worked, and it didn't.
We can still hear you, Randy.
Okay. Well, then I'll be careful and I won't tell any bawdy jokes. Thank you. I'll figure out how to shut this off.
Nathan, are you able to help them leave? Okay, I hope you all enjoyed that interesting conversation. Okay, let's see. At 7:25 p.m., we'll now call our meeting to order. So we'll begin with proxy reports. So if you're a proxy, if you could please state your name and reason for being here. I don't think we have any proxies tonight. Okay, we'll now move into roll call. Yep, you have the mic right there.
Okay, Senator Warwick. Did I pronounce that right? Senator, I know it's like every time this is gonna be pain. Wyrick? Okay, Senator Wyrick. Senator Ferguson.
Here.
Senator Hopfer.
Here.
Senator Bonnet.
Here.
Senator Hockenberry.
Here.
Senator McCleary.
Present.
Senator Langar.
Here.
Senator Guzman.
Here.
Is that correct? Guzman? Guzman? Okay. Senator Dodonna.
Here.
Senator Chris. Or is it Chrissy?
Here. No, you were right.
Okay, Chris. Okay. Senator Beatty.
Here.
Senator Jha.
Here.
There she is. sorry. Senator Griffin Little.
Here.
Senator Reed.
Here.
Senator Cadian.
Here.
Was that correct?
It's Kadian, but yeah.
Kadian.
Yeah.
Senator Stowe.
Here.
Senator Reynolds.
Here.
Senator Kopp. Senator Kopp. I don't see him. Senator Chauvin.
Here is Chavon.
Shavon. Okay, get in there. Senator Shea.
It's shy.
Shy. Okay. All right. Roll call has been taken. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, did we forget someone? Okay. Oh, actually, that is my fault. I forgot to add the 2 new senators to the list. Okay, for our 2 new senators, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
I'm Aiden Bogard. I am a College of Education senator.
I'm Matthew Agnew, and I represent the Polytechnic.
We'll be sure to get you added to the roster. I apologize, that was my fault, but thank you all for joining us. We'll also do introduction of visitors. I know we have a couple visitors joining us.
John Murley with the Exponent.
I'm Sarah Glacken with the Exponent. I'm Lamia Bhatt, and I'm a Senator Associate Member.
Okay, perfect, thank you. And so with that, we'll move into the pledge and the pledge of purpose. Okay. Senators, if you could please remain standing for the pledge of purpose. Our purpose. Now we'll move into the approval of minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. We'll now move into executive reports. President Gilmore, do you have any executive reports?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm sure at this point, if you've gotten a message from your advisor, batch registration, it's back. Unfortunately, Registrar Gares was not able to come and present to us last semester. Hannah and I were able to meet with him this afternoon. And so I'll share a little bit with you about what he said. But that being said, I noted that students might still have some questions, comments, and concerns about batch registration. So I want to make sure you have my email or Hannah's email is available because we said we'd send those questions directly to him. But batch registration, it's happening for everybody. Whether you're a senior athlete, pre-registration, those things are not happening anymore. Everyone will come, and it's called a CRF. I wrote down that acronym. I promise you I did, but I can't seem to find it. And so you're saying what classes you want, but you're not picking time slots. And in that, a big question that we had was, how do you account for work schedule or the other various things that students need to do? And you can schedule in blocks. But basically, for my schedule, I'll say I need Management 411, Management 380, Management 420. I'm not going to get to pick a time. And let's say I work every Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 4 to 7, or let's do more in the day, 2 to 5. I can say that this time is protected time. I cannot have classes there. We talked about in terms of upperclassmen that have a smaller selection of classes, a smaller selection of availability, that they have an algorithm, or he basically said that within their system, they take that into account. And so if you and a freshman are going for the same course, but you're a graduating senior and you need that course, that'll be accounted for. But this will happen for some of you. Like I said, my Craner already started this process, but this will be going on until November 20th. And then between the 20th and December 2nd, their daily simulations to identify gaps. And he said that this process will help in terms of, let's say you have a class where there's only 120 seats for English 106, but you have 200 students registering. It gives them a period before your schedules come out to try and increase the capacity, maybe add in another section or things like that. So then on the day of December 2nd, you'll get your schedule or what has been formulated. And then after that, December 3rd, that's when open registration will occur. And so at that point, you get your schedule. The only way your schedule changes is if you go in and change it after December 2nd. Another thing that was important, and this is something that Hannah brought up, but that this way you can also account for classes, and decisions are still being made about when you'll have to decide if you'll be online or in person, what do classes actually look like. But he said with this form of registration, they'll also be able to make it cleaner. So let's say this year we have hybrid classes, and I'm in Group A, so I go to class Monday, week 1, and then Wednesday, Friday, week 2. They'll be able to account for that in your actual schedule, so that way it's not just some tiny words that show up on Unitime, but you actually know beforehand what's on your schedule matches what you're actually doing, whether that be in person or online. This is just a brief overview. Students, again, please send all questions, comments, and concerns our way because we want to make sure they have it up front so that they can answer them efficiently and effectively for students that will ask in the future. If you're thinking it, a lot of students probably are. Outside of batch registration, PSG Week of Events, thank you all so much to those of you that have tabled, participated. I know that Senate has some great events coming up. I'm so excited to tie-dye. But we really appreciate it. We've gotten a lot of great feedback. Shirts are going, cookies are going. It's been a great time. I was able to table today. It was awesome. The calendar, last week in the internal, Riley got a lot of. So on our calendar, you've got all of the big events. You've got the end of the year retreat. You've got our Mental Health Action Day. You've got Know Your Rights Week. You've got access to all that information. And so just want you to know that it's there. It's also on the drive. Equity Task Force, we will have our 3rd steering committee meeting on Friday morning. There's not really many right now. They're trying to focus on getting the working groups together. And they're also getting a website up similar to Purdue so that use where we are, a timeline. If you'd like more detailed information, let me know. But as soon as I have some sort of absolutely share. And then University Senate happened for the first time this semester on Monday. I'm going to put the University Senate newsletter on the drive. It'll be in a folder called University Senate, not to read them. For those of you that are interested, it'll be there. They passed the Inclusion Resolution 2.0, and other than that, the Athletic Affairs Committee came. Our very own Molly Beatty will be serving on that board, which is exciting. And then they also passed a resolution that put our great appeals senators and our the other one. Alex, what is your board called? Sorry. What is it? Alex, what committee are you on? Read. What? University Senate Committee? Yes. Sorry, Student Affairs. They put all of your names are on the docket. So if you haven't gotten a bill passed, please let me know because they should have contacted all of you. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. From my end, I put the number that you can call to get on the list to work the polls in the Senate Slack, so let me know if you didn't get that and you're interested in that. The student trustee search resolution, we just got confirmation today, is going to come up at the October Board of Trustees meeting, as well as Purdue Fort Wayne just completed their student government elections. They were canceled in the spring due to COVID, so we will now have a representative ready to serve on that committee so we can kick that off here in the next couple of weeks. The Senate events, like Asada mentioned, I'll probably bring that up again during informal discussion and pull up the sign-up sheet because we just need a couple more people to fill those roles. And then I just wanted to say that the survey that went out is going very well. We have about 2,500 people who've responded so far. So if you haven't taken it yourself, please take it and please encourage those around you to take that. That's going to be very useful data for different offices all across campus. And then also Asada and I and Nick met with Susan Brock-Williams and Ann Hazlett, I think from the GR office, to start talking about Day at the State House and what that might look like this upcoming year and some of the work with GR. Chief of Staff, do you have any updates?
Hey everybody, only a few things from my end. the committees are doing great. Everybody's running their events. You should be seeing various things going on, most of them being virtual during the week for PSG Week of Events. We really need 2 more people, and that's it, to sign up for a tabling spot at Class of 50 from Friday morning at 10 a.m. until noon. So if you have any openings during that time, please be willing to do that because we don't want to reserve a spot and then just leave it empty. It really isn't the best look for everybody considering there's only about 40 slots total, and we have about 100 people at least in our organization. So if you have availability, please do consider doing that. Things that have been going well. The committees are doing great. We're looking into having another internal event with everybody to try and create some group cohesion. So I was kind of curious, what did people think about that? Like, did you have an enjoyable time being able to see everybody at the beginning of the semester? Or is that something you'd like to do again before the end of the semester? Okay, great. Then we will have somebody start working on that. The boards and the cases inside the Stewart Center are going to be headed by a separate committee each month to decorate and try and give a category around what's going on during that time. And so if you have artistic skills or you just enjoy doing that kind of stuff, then you're more than welcome to participate in that as well. And I can point you in the direction of the committee that's doing it that specific month that you'd like to help decorate. Besides that, like Hannah said, the survey is doing great. That's one thing that we're really pushing when we're tabling, is reminding people to take it because, believe it or not, it's something that I think a lot of people do really want to take because it's live feedback on what you're actually going through right now. And from my personal experience, walking around campus talking to people, it's one of the first things they talk about is this or my class this or Brightspace this. And so like this is their opportunity to put that feedback and get some actual action out of it. But besides that, things are going great. And if you have any specific questions, then absolutely please feel free to reach out.
Senior Policy Advisor or Chief Justice?
So there are a couple updates. Something Purdue Student Government is trying to do this year is to inform administration of different changes we would like to see in the free speech policy. And in order to do this, we do want to bring in the voices of other universities that, especially the universities in the Big Ten that already have free speech policies or could recommend some changes to Purdue's free speech policy in order to make it more suitable for the kind of environment that we live in right now, something that the students might want to see as well. And in order to do that, I still do need to reach out to David in order to reach out to the further Big Ten student liaisons. But after finding out more information on this and coming together with a little bit more of a coherent report on these kind of changes that we want to report to administration, I do want to open this discussion to all the student representatives, be that in Senate or in BOD. So please stay on the lookout for that. Something else student government is trying to do is increase our presence on the Purdue subreddit. And in order to do that, because this is something that Purdue students do use to communicate with each other and stay updated on life on campus, we want to host an Ask Me Anything, an AMA, on the subreddit. And we do want to do a test run over the next couple weeks. However, unfortunately, both of these next couple weeks are midterm weeks. So depending on the kind of studier you are, you're either going to spend a lot more time on Reddit or a lot less time. But especially like just as a test run, it should be pretty workable to do something over the next couple of weeks. Stay on the lookout for updates on that as well. Yeah.
Chief Justice?
No updates.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. Internal affairs. And also, I know that chair elections just happened, so just so everyone knows, if you want to introduce yourself as the chair.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Reed. I'm the new chair for IA. I was on IA last year under the other Alex. I hope to kind of follow in her footsteps, but a little better. Basically, we're going to be picking up with the Constitution rework like we were doing last year. We only made it through the first 3 articles, I believe, so we're going to be starting with the 4th and going on forward. So if any of you are interested in that kind of thing, please let me know. And this is an open discussion, especially when we're reworking the Constitution. So feel free to stop by, and I'll give updates when we're working on a specific article. Additionally, we'll also be working on the removal of office policy. We have good framework for it, but we're going to be continuing talking about that and try to get it actually nailed out in its entirety. So if you're interested in any of these things, send an email my way or talk to me, and I'll be sure to make sure you know when the meetings where we talk about them are, if that made sense.
Thank you. Financial affairs?
Hi, my name is Ellie Dodona. I'm the new FA chair. One thing that FA is working on right now is working with Greg to sort of work on the small grant allocation within PSG. There's something that I'm really excited to work on, and if anyone wants to help, more than welcome to.
Okay, CSRA.
Hi, I'm Evan Chris. I'm the new chair for CSRA. Right now, just trying to figure out our meeting schedule and then go from there about what we're looking to do this year.
Okay, and then we have UAA, which I think is Evan. He's not here. Anyone from UAA have any updates? It's Veronica. I'm so sorry, Veronica.
Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be the UAA chair this semester. And yeah, so we had a meeting last week, and we talked about the bill that we're all going to be voting on today. We approved it, and we even added some suggestions and talked a lot about it. We're going to still work on the MEPS resolution from last year. Well, not work on it, but like, of course, keep everybody updated on that. Patrick is still like talking to me about it and stuff like that. And then our next step is to figure out a weekly meeting time and look through, it's been suggested us to look through the academic regulations that we were talking about in caucus. So, thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move into informal discussion. Does anyone have any informal discussion? Yeah, Senator Hockenberry.
Actually, I believe on Friday, I received an email from a member of my constituency who had an idea that I believe he used, or guessing at that, so I apologize if I'm incorrect, an idea that he had about kind of a change that he wanted to see on campus. He had proposed it to the, give me a second to find the exact naming of it. He had submitted an idea to the PSG suggestions page. However, he found the response that he received from the suggestion page to be lacking, and perhaps a pre-made response that was automatically sent out. As I believe PSG is currently focusing on trying to expand our recognition of us on campus, I felt like this would be something important to discuss, as it might discourage people from coming back to talk to PSG about issues that they're having if they feel like they aren't actually being listened to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. So it was just he submitted something through the website?
I believe so. I'm not. I didn't press that too far, but I'm assuming that that is what happened. And the response, the email response they got back was not satisfactory for his interest.
Okay, yeah. If you want to forward me the contact information, and we can follow up on that and then look into maybe what the issue was so we can make that better. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Is there any other informal discussion? I'm going to.
Hi.
I'm on Molly. Okay, go ahead, Senator Beatty.
So Asada, or President Gilmore, I had a question. So if our constituents come up to us and kind of ask about batch registration, what would be a good reason to tell them that we're going to this? Like, why would the administration see as this is fit?
Yeah, that is a great question, Senator Beatty, and you can call me Asada. Anyone can. It's okay. But yeah, that's a great question, and so that's how Registrar Gears started our conversation. Is that they are just behind the deadline with all the given changes and kind of playing catch up when the year started. Class schedule for next semester, the timeline isn't going to happen. With typically you would do registration in October. Not had the capacity, the bandwidth to get classes and everything semester. So this helps them to play catch up. And kind of in the example that I gave, if you have 200 people that sign up for a class and only 120 seats, it gives them time to know what the numbers are, and then that way they can assign classes. They schedule looks like. Whereas beforehand, it all came, you knew your was a little bit hectic in that way. This will help them to alleviate that. And when you get your schedule, you'll have all the details. And it really helps them play catch up because I think everyone's a little behind.
Okay, thank you so much.
And also, Senator Beatty, if you have questions or if there's a response that you can't answer, please feel free to send them to Hannah or myself or directly to Keith Gears, and we can make sure his contact is available.
Yeah, I'm not sure if President Gilmore mentioned this also, but this is just for the spring semester so far. So there's no set change that this is going to be for everything. Okay, I'm going to pull up our Senate events schedule. So I just wanted to say for the first shift for each one, if you could please meet at Croc 270 and we can carry down the supplies and make sure that's all set up. And our sign up is looking pretty good, but I was just going to see if anyone could check their schedules real quick and see if they're available. We could use 1 or 2 more people to help with this last shift. So I'll give like a minute to look. And if no one says anything, I'll come back to it again in announcements.
Hannah, while people are looking,
yeah, go ahead.
So it's come to my attention that there might be some confusion in regards to appointed senators versus elected senators, and I wanted to make it very clear that there is no hierarchy in that regard. And if anyone thinks that there is, we can have a conversation about it. But just wanted to know that that is how it is, and in terms of accountability and representing our constituencies, it doesn't matter who you are. It could be me, it could be Hannah. We all have a duty to our students, and that's it. And so if that is ever a question, please do not hesitate to reach out to Hannah or myself.
Okay, is anyone available? Yeah.
You could put me down for this Friday, please.
Okay, perfect. I spelled it right. Oh, wait. Yep.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, yes. Senator Reed, are you available?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. I'll give you the whole tie-dye lowdown on Friday. I'm pretty excited. Yeah.
I just have a clarifying question. This is different than like general PhD tabling, like about that?
Yes. Yep. This is the specific event that Senate is hosting. So on Thursday, we're going to be doing chalking outside of Croc and just handing out chalk, encouraging people to draw a picture. So we might have some prompts on the ground and people will write. And then on Friday, we're going to be tie-dyeing white masks. Yes. Senior Policy Advisor.
If this isn't like filled with senators, then like I'm very happy to fill in if required.
Okay, perfect. It's in the Senate folder right when you open it up. So if there's any spots available that you want to help, we would welcome you there. Okay. Yeah, Senator Reynolds.
If I just signed up because I have no class on Friday, so if it like fills up and anyone wants to go on one of those days, just let me know and you can take my place.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other informal discussion? Oh, yeah, Secretary Gill.
Okay, I just have to be patient. Okay, so I don't know, have you guys been getting the internal emails? Okay, is anything, so we were at cabinet, we were looking through and we wanted to make sure that because emails get all jumbled up, and if they're not really directed towards you, it can be hard to easy to overlook. And so we want to make sure that everything's always clear. Is there any recommendations or anything you think should be put in the internal email that might make it more clear, or that would be helpful? Or you think that needs to be changed?
These are supposed to be helpful for you and supposed to help you know what's going on. So please don't hesitate if you have any suggestions on how we can improve this.
If not, if you think of something, you can just send it to the Purdue Student Government email and I'll see it and take note of it. So, okay, thank you.
Do you want to talk about maybe some of the things that we talked about internally to see if they're good ideas to the general public?
Like just the organization,
doing a person every time.
Yeah, so we talked about having maybe at the end just to put in a GIF or a joke or something to maybe make sure people are reading through the emails, because that's one thing we've come across is that not many people are reading them. Or we feel unless there's a threat, maybe they won't keep their position. So we want to make sure that people are actually maybe they're getting the emails, but maybe like I don't know if it's easy to read and like register like what's important to you. So some of the ideas I'm on the spot now, so I'm all like,
No, you're good. I think, and I wish Greg was here because I think he said very
yeah.
eloquently, was just that like sometimes things feel like a last minute reminder. Do we need different headings? Do we need to have it's like a joke of the week from Riley, or maybe a member so that we're getting to know each other on a more engaging and connected basis. But basically we just have a lot of the same questions, or I feel like a lot of the people are confused about the same things. If that is a lack of communication, then that's something we should nip in the bud right now. And so think about it. If you have anything, you can reach out to Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other informal discussion? Okay, with that, we'll move into, oh, we already did that. Do I hear any old business? Seeing none, we'll move into new business. Do I hear any new business? Yes, Senator Reed.
I'd like to motion to bring up Bill 2031.
Second.
It has been probably motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2031, appointments to the Grade Appeals Committee. Again, this is just a formality, but if there's any discussion at this time from the floor. Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of Bill 2031, please raise your name placards. And those on the chat, if you could also indicate your vote. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, and any abstentions? Okay, with a vote of 17-0-0, Bill 2031 passes. Okay, do I hear any other new business at this time? Yes, Senator Dodona.
Motion to bring up Resolution 2032.
It's been properly motioned and seconded. This should say resolution. Resolution 2032, a resolution in support of periodic grade updates. At this time, we'll open up the floor to the authors and then to the senators. President Gilmore, do you want to start?
So this was something that Hannah brought up during our campaign, and we noted we were in the midst of COVID everything, and that a huge concern with being offered to go pass or fail, some students could not make an informed decision because they just simply didn't know their grade. And going over our experience of being in Craner versus HHS, I think within Craner it's something that's more regulated, and all of our professors use Blackboard, at least all mine did, but noted that that just was not the case for others. And when talking about your academic experience, it really is important to have consistency in terms of a check-in. And so ran with this idea, talked about it to several administrators, and so it's something that's been on the docket for a while now, but we're able to finally put it into a resolution. But this periodic grade update is really for students, time that it is required for them. I know Hannah has her own anecdote, and I hope that she'll share it, but cannot stress the importance of this resolution at coming to fruition. And I will say, from an administrative standpoint, it feels like we already have a lot of support. VP Rickus, Dr. Rickus, Vice Provost for Teaching and Learning, the interim as of right now, thought it was a great idea. And the pass-fail incident, I think, really put into perspective what students need. And so that's why I shared it in the beginning. But I will leave it to VP Walter.
Confusing right now. So kind of the logic behind the two grade update periods, the one that happens before the 7th week is the final week that you can drop a class. You'll still have a W on your transcript, but the goal is if you drop that class, then that doesn't affect your GPA. So that's the idea behind the first one, and then the idea behind the second one, having it in the 14th week, is that that's right before dead week and finals week, and so that you have a clear picture of where you stand in a class before going into it. And so how the policy was originally written is that you just had to have one grade in the grade book for 200 level classes and below. And so that's not even overall where you stand in the class. So the goal of this is really just, especially for classes that are graded on a curve, whether that be a tight curve where everyone is very close together and receiving high grades on the exams, or a low curve where you just feel like you're always failing your exams and kind of dealing with that anxiety but not knowing where you actually stand in the class. So the goal of this resolution is to help both students and faculty, students to know where they stand, and faculty also to be able to encourage students to seek academic help, academic services, maybe drop the class and try it again a different semester when they have a lighter load. So that's kind of the hopes behind it, and we would welcome any questions from the floor. Yeah, Senator Griffin Little.
So a question that was kind of raised in caucus, and you sort of mentioned it, but I was hoping you could just touch on a bit more of the faculty's thoughts on this, and if this were to eventually be implemented, what sort of what their thoughts would be on that, and how realistic would it actually be followed?
So that's a great question, and I think in terms of faculty members that we've gotten it in front of, I know that the Audrey Rupel has kind of, we touched base on the idea, again, Dr. Rickus, and so another component that makes this a great time to implement is that switch from Blackboard to Brightspace, and so requiring a lot of professors to utilize that and then physically have their grades or virtually have their grades inputted, I think will help to make this more realistic. When we first brought up the conversation, you talked about varying degrees of, well, some professors just write them down and then you got your grade on paper at the end versus Blackboard versus other ways. And so by having Brightspace here to kind of regulate that, I think that will help inform the policy. After it to the EPC, and so I think there we'll get a more realistic view of what this will look like, and there might be edits or suggestions. I'm not going to say that it'll pass as is, but I think we've come with a realistic approach. At first, I was hoping maybe 4 times as was not as realistic, and so I think that this is a happy medium, and it's something that faculty will be supportive of.
Is there any other discussion from the floor? And again, Senator Griffin Little, like you brought up, it's really important that people know about it and would know about the regulation if it were to be put in place. Right now, the regulation about professors not being allowed to tie attendance to your in-person grade, a lot of students don't know about that, and from our survey we've seen are having classes like that. So I think, again, on our side, it's really important that our constituents know, and then also know the proper routes that they can go through to report incidents that are in violation of the academic regulations. Yes, Senator Wyrick. Yeah, so it'd probably go through the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities, and so you can email in your concern. There's also a form that they have, and I believe Riley in the internal email on Sunday, we had talked in EPC about the proper channels to go through to report academic concerns. It's going to have more information about that so we can share it. But usually what happens, what it looks like is a meeting that the Office of Student Rights and Responsibilities will have with the professor or the department head about the situation and a review of a syllabus. And then if something is in violation, the department head or the dean will help take care of it and correct that with the faculty member. Is there any other discussion at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote on Resolution 2032. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. And again, those of us joining on Zoom, if you could please put the hand up emoji on Zoom. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, with a vote of 20-0, Resolution 2032 passes. Do I hear any other new business at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into announcements. Does anyone have any announcements?
Hi, it's me again. So I stopped in on several office hours today just to say hi, and I think we mentioned this during the retreat. That's how we're going to do enforcement this year. It also gives us a time to chat because that's what I really like to do. And unfortunately, not a lot of people were there. And I know that this it's a big transition. I know that there's a lot going on. As JT mentioned, midterms are around the corner, and so I just want to promote. I'm all for being flexible, but I just need communication. And so if that's directly with BOD or with your Senate coordinator, then that's fine. Or if the times don't work, or maybe it was your Zoom link, then that is totally okay. But office hours are absolutely important. We hear stories of constituents reaching out to you. I had 8 people come to my office hours today, and we want to make sure that you have the same amount of accessibility. It's also a great dedicated time to work on PSG. So we're going to continue to check in, and I hope that next week I'm reporting that I saw so many lovely faces all week. But just wanted to let you know that that is happening. And if you've seen the website, Senate, I think it's done. We're going to add in our new senators really soon. BOD still has a little bit of work. Cabinet, we're done, we're good. And feel free to stop by ours. Hold me accountable. If you ever, I'm going to put this out there now. If you ever come to my office hours and I'm not there, I will give you $50. My hand is up. I would never ask you to do something that I'm not willing to do. I want you to know that. So if you ever catch me slipping, I owe you $50. Put that in the minutes. No.
Do I hear any other announcements? Okay. Well, what did Martia say? Okay, on my end, Senators, I wanted to show you something in the drive. So if you go open the main Senate folder, there's a document called Senate Duties. And so it has all of your names in here, as well as your duties as a senator. So you can see, like, host your outreach event, send your constituent letter, attend your first student council meeting, your second. And so I just wanted to give you a reminder about your duties so that you can start reaching out to your student councils, find out when those meetings are. Also just encourage you to send out your constituent letters earlier rather than later. I know a lot of times these go out in November towards the end of the semester, and that's already a whole semester by where your constituents maybe don't know who you are. So I wanted to encourage you to send those out early. And there's information about how to do this, I believe, in the Start Here, the useful information folder in the drive. So yeah, wanted to give you a reminder about that. And also, if you have any questions or concerns, just feel free to reach out to me or Alex to help you work through that. So any other announcements? Yes, Senator Bonnet.
The question about the duties. So we still are doing board of director and court meetings this semester, or no?
I believe no. You can join BOD virtually, and maybe you can join court virtually, but that's not something that we're going to strongly enforce this semester. So yeah, don't worry if you don't have those columns filled out. I made this over the summer, so before we had secured all of that. And then with volunteer events, we are still going to have volunteer event opportunities, so be on the lookout to hear more about those. Okay, any other announcements? Yep, Senator Reed.
I guess I just have a quick one for IA. Can we all meet like right here after the meeting and talk about meeting times, because everyone has conflict with everything, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, thanks.
Okay, new senators, I also wanted to introduce you to our parliamentarian, Josh Reeder, so he can help you out. If you're a little confused about how the different procedures work tonight, we'd love to help catch you up to speed and let you know that we want you to share during the meetings. Okay, anything else? Okay, we're going to do real Senate snaps tonight. So I have the gloves, and I'm going to come around, and you can look in the box, but you only get a few seconds so that I can keep moving. and tell me what you want, and then I'll pull it out and give it to you. So I'll be walking around during this time. So I'm going to kick it off, and I would like to give a snap to Josh, David, and Veronica for helping out so much with the PSG tabling this week. I can't really snap with these on. And if you have a snap, feel free to just shout it out if I don't see you. Anybody else?
I'll give snaps to all the newly elected committee chairs. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what you all will do this semester.
I'd like to give a snap to Matthew because I just met him, and I'm very excited that he reached out to me. I'm sorry he had to wait a long time to get elected, but I'm going to need his help with the Polytech Student Council, so I'm excited for him to join us.
And following suit, Aiden for the College of Education, it's just super exciting to have a buddy and somebody who's excited about this.
Can I give a snap to Asada for just being overly excited, committed? Her energy never decreases. And if we can give her a little sugar out of that box, I think we can keep her energetic and energized. And her fire for PSG has been amazing to work with.
Okay, anybody else?
I want to give snaps to JT for always being around to help me with all my stupid questions and always being willing to answer them, so thank you.
Okay, are there any last minute snaps?
Yeah, I'll give one to work you've put into the Senate events for this week. You're working so hard, and you've been such a great chair.
Thanks. I'm going to take the Butterfinger. Okay. Seeing no more, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn. Yes, Senator McClary.
Madam President, I move we do now adjourn.
Okay, it's been properly motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All of those in favor, please raise your name placards. Okay, all those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much for coming.